So we've seen how do we create a graph from an equation. Here we'll go the other way. So how do we create an equation if we're looking at a graph? Let's say you have a simple exponential. So your exponential just follows this base. F of x equal to a, some amplitude, b to the power of x, and b is our base. So there's essentially two unknowns here, right? We don't know the amplitude and we don't know the base. Whenever we have two unknowns, we can always solve if we have two equations. How can I make two equations? Well, I've got at least 2 points here on this graph, so I can plug in my 2 points and that would give me 2 equations. So we'll start by plugging in 1 point. And if you know it, a handy point to plug in is the y-intercept itself. It's a nice one because then you'll get b to the power of 0, and that kind of wipes out the b. It lets you find the amplitude faster. So this is f at 0. So at 0, f at 0, we'd have a so b to the power of 0. F at 0 is, on our graph we can see that's 0.5. So the y-intercept here is 0.5. That equals a times b to the 0. B to the 0, though, is just 1. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. So that gives me the amplitude really quickly. The amplitude must be equal to 1/2 here, or 0.5. Once you know one of your unknowns, now it's helpful to get the other unknown. So plug in another point, any other one. Another point. So maybe I'll pick this point right here because I'm told what it is. So at that point, I know the y value is 4.5. I already know the amplitude is 1/2, so I'm going to put that in. I don't know b, and I know the x value is -2. Okay, so first I need to get rid of this 1/2. To get rid of a 1/2, I might want to multiply both sides by 2, right? That would clean up the 1/2 there. So then that 2 here will cancel with the 1/2, and I'll be left with just 2 times 4.5 on this side, which is 9. So we get 9 equals b to the -2. Well, b to the -2 is also the same as 1 divided by b squared. And now I want to rearrange this for b. So one way I could do that is by multiplying both sides by b squared. That cleans my b off the bottom here, or b squared off the bottom. And I'm left with 9b squared equals 1. I could get rid of the 9 by dividing both sides by 9. And that gives me, the 9's here will cancel. That gives me b squared is 1/9. We're one step away from the end, but I'm running out of page space here, so I'll just go over here. So I have b squared equals 1/9. I can just square root both sides. Square root of b squared is b. That's one of the things I'm looking for here. The square root of 1/9 is the square root of 1 divided by the square root of 9, which is going to be 1/3. So b must be equal to 1/3. All right, let me give myself a little bit more space here. I'll just erase some of this stuff. That lets me write my whole equation. So we found a is 1/2 over here. We found b is 1/3 there. So I can put those two things together to get a whole equation. For this guy would be f of x is equal to a, which is 1/2, times b, which is 1/3 to the power of x. So that's my general form, a b to the power of x there. It's not a bad idea just to check and see if it works out with another point. So we happen to have an extra point here, this one right here. So this will be my check. Does it work out to do, if I do f at -3, I would get 1/2 times 1/3 to the power of -3. So 1/3 to the power of -3 and is 27, and then times 1/2 gives me indeed 13.5. So that checks out. That means that equation looks good.